From Sarangani Province, Philippines, the 8-time world champion, the reigning, defending WBO welterweight champion of the world, Manny Pacquiao!
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao, Setting the Scene, episode 5. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the challenger, and this, of course, is Manny Pacquiao. I truly hope you enjoy the video. We're going to get right to talking about all the different attributes that Manny Pacquiao possesses for this fight. As usual, you guys can access all these videos on the Mayweather Pacquiao playlist, or you can type this hashtag into YouTube to pull up all these different videos. Of course, we have to come back to the roadmap. You guys know how this works now. I would like to inform you that we're getting to the end of the skills section of the roadmap, and we're going to move on pretty soon. Okay, so once again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, this is just the perfect time for you to do so. Okay, so with all the introductions out of the way, now we're going to take a look at the different attributes and the different characteristics that Manny Pacquiao actually brings into this fight on May 2nd. I hope you enjoy this video. Okay, so we begin by talking about the hand speed of Manny Pacquiao. Pacquiao possesses some of the quickest hands in boxing today, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see how his hand speed is going to affect this fight on May 2nd versus Floyd Mayweather. You know, whether you're talking about throwing one punch at a time or throwing combination punches or punches in bunches, Manny Pacquiao's hand speed is always an issue. Here you see him split the jab there from Brandon Rios. And, Pacquiao's speed makes a lot of fighters uncomfortable, as you're seeing right there with Timothy Bradley. Just the hand speed alone can be a major issue for some fighters to actually deal with in the ring. And here versus Erik Morales, you see some of the vintage Pacquiao where that hand speed and the aggression was too much for most of his opponents. And in this case, he really does overwhelm Erik Morales with the hand speed. So it's definitely going to be a key thing to look for, is how the hand speed of Manny Pacquiao is going to affect this fight. Alright, so the next thing we're going to talk about is actually the aggression of Manny Pacquiao, his aggressiveness in the ring. This is one of the characteristics that actually builds upon the previous one, which was the blinding hand speed. When you combine the blinding, blistering hand speed of Manny Pacquiao with an aggressive nature in the ring, you have what is the capability of overwhelming an opponent. As you're just seeing here versus Miguel Cotto versus Timothy Bradley, Pacquiao always has the capability to overwhelm certain types of opponents, and we're going to see on May 2nd if he's going to be able to overwhelm Floyd Mayweather, because I understand that a lot of people think that this is going to be one of the game plans of Manny Pacquiao, is simply to throw a lot of punches and try and overwhelm Floyd. So we're going to see how that plays out. I don't think there's any doubt that the aggression of Manny Pacquiao is going to play a role in this fight. Pacquiao is considered by many to be the greatest offensive fighter of his era. And he's going in there with Floyd Mayweather, who, again, many would consider to be the greatest defensive fighter of his era. So you can see that the styles matchup is always going to make for an interesting fight. Okay, so I want to briefly talk about Pacquiao's looping left hand. I already talked about his straight left hand, and I've also talked about his right hook, which I think is also one of his more effective weapons. And you can find those in episode 3. So in this episode, we're going to take a look at his looping left hand. As you can see, Pacquiao likes to loop the left hand around the high guard defense of his opponent, and that makes room for the right hand that he then follows up with straight down the middle. Once again, you can see he loops the left hand, and then he shoots that straight right hand straight down the middle. Looping left hand, makes room for the right hand straight down the middle. Looping left hand again. He typically begins this combination with that left hand looping around the side. Very effective for Pacquiao, because a lot of the time, his opponents are actually expecting that straight left hand. And when he's changing the angle by looping the punch around his opponent, he can really make openings doing that. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about Manny Pacquiao's foot speed. Of course, those of us who've been watching Pacquiao, we know that he has, really quick feet. Now, this is something that I believe Floyd is definitely going to have to adjust to in the ring, because a lot of people will tell you that Floyd Mayweather has never faced anybody with the kind of foot speed of Manny Pacquiao. Now, as you notice here versus Margarito, his ability to turn his opponent's straight left hand and then he steps out to the side. Manny Pacquiao, even though he typically attacks in straight lines coming straight towards his opponent, notice the way he exits after he attacks. Pacquiao will almost always exit at an angle. Now, this is one of the best examples versus Miguel Cotto. Just watch how he keeps Cotto centered in the middle of the ring. Notice how Pacquiao is the one who consistently changes angles on Miguel Cotto, moving all over the place, consistently moving, foot speed playing a role as his defense. Beautiful to watch. Alright, so as I said previously, when you look at this clip, you see a very good summary or highlight of Pacquiao's use of angles. Miguel Cotto remains in a largely central location. It is Manny Pacquiao who is consistently changing positions on Miguel Cotto. As you notice, Pacquiao consistently establishes new angles around Cotto, and this is where that foot speed comes into play. You see how he's able to move around Miguel Cotto, consistently changing direction and consistently changing position. Now, because we're talking about the science of boxing, we have to be realistic. Manny Pacquiao's use of angles is more effective the closer he is to an opponent. At a distance, what you have to realize is the opponent simply has to turn or pivot with Pacquiao in order to neutralize his angles. I may have to do a video on that separately. But what I'm saying is at a distance, you turn with Manny Pacquiao, and that in a way will neutralize his use of angles. But if you allow Pacquiao to get close to you, especially if you're a flat-footed opponent, you're really going to pay a price because of Pacquiao's use of angles and that foot speed, which also acts as Pacquiao's defense. Okay, so of course I simply had to talk about this issue about Manny Pacquiao being a southpaw. I've spoken about this before, but I have to talk about it again. You know, simply because some people are going to use this as a characteristic which is going to have some kind of impact as an advantage for Manny Pacquiao. And sometimes I just get sick and tired of this. You know, it's no secret that I do not subscribe to the belief that Floyd has problems with southpaws. And the reason why is simply because I go based on empirical evidence. I go based on empirical factual evidence, okay? So what I understand from life, just in general, is when somebody has an absence of evidence, everything else is belief. Once you have an absence of evidence and empirical fact, everything else is riding on belief, faith. And this is exactly what the statement Floyd has problems with southpaws is. That's just a belief, right? This is a concoction. It has no resemblance to reality, because all you have to do to understand that is look at the empirical evidence. Floyd has beat every single southpaw he's faced, and in convincing fashion, to the point where by the end of the fight he was in complete control. Once you see something like that, it's obvious he doesn't have problems with southpaws. This is something we would have discovered a long time ago, even in the amateur system. So when I see people saying those kind of things, I understand that they live a dehydrated lifestyle. Now, there's other channels you can go to who will tell you everything you want to, you want them to tell you. They'll tell you Floyd has problems with southpaws. They'll tell you, Floyd can't deal with a straight left hand. They'll tell you all of that stuff. They'll tell you Floyd doesn't understand southpaw angles, which till this day, nobody knows what that means. These people will tell you everything. You have to understand, there's some people here who are dealing with mind-bending substances. In other words, some people here are actually abusing mind-altering drugs. Some people are doing this for a paycheck. Some people are just allergic to the oxygen within the chemical compound called H2O, which is, of course, the life-giving fluid that we should all drink. What I'm trying to say, let me just stop playing around. What I'm trying to say is this. If you believe Floyd has a problem with southpaws, and that is a characteristic that Pacquiao possesses, which you think in your disposition is going to affect the fight, if you have that as a presumption, go ahead and believe that. Be very, very comfortable with that belief up until May 2nd. Because just understand that Manny Pacquiao is really going to be in the ring with Floyd Mayweather, and Floyd Mayweather is really going to be in the ring with Manny Pacquiao. It's important that we understand that these two guys are really going to try to do damage. When that bell rings, that's when some people are going to become very uncomfortable. Notice I didn't say who is going to become uncomfortable, but on May 2nd, the truth will finally be found. So be comfortable with the belief that Pacquiao has some kind of southpaw advantage because he has access to all these high-tech southpaw angles, which is being, manufactured every single day in the underground facility I talked about previously. And Floyd, unfortunately, doesn't have access to those angles. Be comfortable with that belief, because somebody might make you uncomfortable on May 2nd when you're actually seeing this fight play out live in front of you.
Frank Lucas and Blake Griffin. Same time, it's the same grip. Trips to Puerto Rico, that Rico law. Packs in the hallway, it's Seton Hall.
Okay, so now we're going to talk briefly about Manny Pacquiao's utilization of range. And in this segment, we're just going to talk about how Pacquiao is often able to come back with that straight left hand when you think he's outside range. So as you see there with Brandon Rios, Pacquiao was able to invite Rios to actually shoot this jab and then simply transition the weight to the back foot and then come back with a straight left hand and still be in range to deliver that punch. This is something that Pacquiao does very well. But at the same time, on the flip side, you have Pacquiao sometimes lunging towards opponents, again to make up for the distance. And, he leaves himself open. So we'll see how this actually is going to affect the fight on May 2nd. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks again for watching. Please click the red button to subscribe so you don't miss any of my updates. Of course, you have previous videos you can click on the side panel to enjoy. There's also a more popular video which you might as well check out as well. Once again, please like, comment, and subscribe, and please share my videos. Thank you.
I do the most, I do the most. I do too much on shit, I might hop out the ghost, cause I do the most. All of my roster shit, I might start Trek a post, cause I do the most. Might take a pic for you, bitch. All of my pockets are swole, cause I do the most. My pockets are loaded with bitches.